We have a safety hearing with Mr. Bliss.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to speak on the status of our building and district safety. As you all know, I have not been doing this for very long, but I suspect that there has not been a year when such a priority has been put on the safe operations of a building and school district. From cleaning, sanitizing, barriers, signage, social distance layout, along with the normal functions like fire drills, evacuation, safety inspections. This has been a very challenging year, to say the least, and I'd like to give credit to everyone involved and my staff in particular. They've really done an outstanding job. So the only considerable change to our district's safety plan is the creation of a continuation of operations plan. This is an addendum to the district level safety plan, and New York state law requires public employees to adopt a plan for operations in the event of a declared public health emergency similar to the COVID-19 pandemic. Plan covers how the district will handle such things as cleaning, operations, employee schedules, and visitors to the building. Much of our plan was based on the guidance and regulations set forth by local and state governments that were issued in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Our operations laid out in the plan state that the district's intent to follow government guidance and regulations if a future event takes place. Any questions on the continuation of operations plan? It was really just a state law that came out that said if we get in a situation that we're in now, how are you prepared to handle that situation? Fire and safety drills, 8 evacuation drills and 4 lockdown drills are required per school year. Each building only has a couple left to complete. With the weather getting nicer, I'm sure that'll be done sooner than later. Lastly, all of our safety inspections are complete and new certificates of occupancy have been issued for each building. That's pretty much what I have on safety. Any questions? Good. Okay. Thank you.
Do we have a request to withdraw specific items from the consent agenda? No, so moving right along. Recommend that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, consensus items be approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carried.
So this is the time that the board has designated to receive statements from individuals and groups. The board will review all statements, then respond appropriately at a future meeting. All persons in attendance are required to sign the attendance sheet and designate their representation status. For example, parent, teacher, bus driver, chamber of commerce, etc. There is a 2-minute time limit. Anybody?
Okay. I kind of wrote it down because I didn't want to forget anything. So, hi, most of you know me by voice, if not in person, but just in case you don't, I'm Brenda Says. I'm here tonight because a couple of parents and some educators have asked me to come forward to get a conversation started around optional learning. We've seen parents come here to these meetings asking you to consider events like prom and graduation ceremonies. And trust me, I get that. I have a junior at home. We all get that. But what we haven't seen is a voice asking the harder questions about new technology and remote learning methods. So my overarching question tonight is, 1, how are we preparing to offer optional or remote academics going forward? And then I have a little bit to say. Let's be honest, there's no question that technology has helped our teachers and students be more prepared, not only for a situation like this, COVID, but for the real world. And I know some people aren't thrilled with technology and change, but let's not ever forget that technology is what actually saved our schools during this pandemic. I know that wasn't simple, getting students and faculty to adapt and plan and buy into a different approach, but in the last 2 years, we did learn something that may be hard for all of us to hear, including myself. We learned that remote learning is successful for some kids. I know we've heard a lot of voices that told us that their children were struggling to learn virtually, and we need to go back. Go back is what we keep hearing, which, by the way, I think is a pretty ironic way of saying going backwards, because the needs of our students are changing very rapidly with the explosion in technology, and they're going to be left behind if we don't help them use it. So I'm here tonight to be the voice that hasn't been as loud, and I'll tell you why we haven't been as loud. It's because we were actually thrilled to see that our kids finally thrived for the first time in their lives. I personally have 1 out of 4 students that I struggled with IEPs for 10 years, thinking, what in the heck am I doing wrong? I had 3 others that were successful. Well, I'm here to tell you that the most incredible thing happened over the last 15 months, and that is that kid that we collectively, as parents, teachers, administrators, struggled to find the right environment for actually became a high honor student by using the new remote learning option. And not to give away HIPAA information, but there's a reason for that for him. And I'm sure you see what I'm getting at. One of my children is not like the others. And if you don't get that reference, I guess I feel really old. Anyway, the most important thing that I want you to hear and really listen to tonight is that all of our kids are equally important. All of our kids deserve to be able to choose the learning environment that's best for them. And a lot of parents want to make sure that you're planning to include remote options going forward. And what we don't want to hear from you is that we need to homeschool our children and pay additional costs to that, because we just voted yes on the school budget. We also don't want to hear ultimatums such as if your kid doesn't choose to learn on campus, they can't participate in any school activities. Because we all gave you our time and our energy and our money voting yes to the school budget for the last 2 crazy years. We worked together with you to figure this out, and now we kind of want you to do the same thing for us. So thank you for listening, and I sincerely hope that everyone here tonight understands that we do not want to eliminate on-campus learning, because I do have 3 that would love it. But we also don't want to give up on these kids. We don't expect an answer tonight, but we would like to be part of the conversations that are taking place to make the decisions about offering remote learning options for our kids going forward. And lastly, I'm just going to leave you with this. The world has changed, and going back is not the answer. So let us help you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? All right. To new business. Resignations. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the resignation of teacher aide Beth Pastwick be accepted effective April 30th, 2021. The board and administration wish to thank Ms. Pastwick for her 5 years of service to the district.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the resignation for the purpose of retirement of teacher aide Teresa Buziak be accepted effective June 24th, 2021. The board and administration wish to thank Mrs. Buziak for her 31 years of service to the district.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the resignation for the purpose of retirement of clerk typist Carol Klein be accepted effective May 26th, 2021. The board and administration wish to thank Mrs. Klein for her 36 years of service to the district.
Second.
Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the resignation of music teacher Cynthia Zelasco be accepted effective April 20th, 2021.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carried.
Okay, new business appointments. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, after successfully completing her probationary period, Maria Marinello be permanently appointed as a teacher aide effective June 20th, 2021.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, after successfully completing her probationary period, Jamie Peterson be granted tenure as speech language teacher effective August 31st, 2021.
Second.
Any discussion?
Jamie's out there, so we should, yay, Jamie.
Well, we didn't vote.
But we have to vote yet, so hang on.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carried.
Okay, now we can.
Congratulations, Jamie.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, after successfully completing her probationary period, Christy Height be granted tenure as a special education teacher effective August 31st, 2021.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is that Christy out here too? Yes, that's Christy's out there too.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, after successfully completing his probationary period, Joshua Walker be granted tenure as an elementary teacher effective August 31st, 2021.
Second.
Any discussion?
I don't think Josh is here.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Grace Gannon be appointed on probation as a clerk typist effective April 27th, 2021, and ending October 26th, 2021. Salary is based upon CSEA contract level 5, step 1.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the following teachers be reappointed on a part-time basis for the 2021-2022 school year. Karen Boziacki, and excuse me if I pronounce names incorrectly, I'm trying my best. Karen Boziacki, music teacher, 0.6 FTE. Adriana Jimenez, pre-K AIS teacher, 0.8 FTE. Caitlin Gardner Capriato, special education teacher, 0.5 FTE. Amy Mascial, physical education teacher, 0.4 FTE. Jeffrey Piersanti, business teacher, 0.84 FTE. Rachel Braun, art teacher, 0.8 FTE.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Sabrina Kraska be appointed as a remote teacher for grades K2 effective May 3rd, 2021, and ending June 25th, 2021. Salary is $115 per day.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Caitlin Gake be appointed as a remote teacher for grades 3 through 5 effective May 3rd, 2021, and ending June 25th, 2021. Salary is $115 per day.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Julia Reeser be appointed as a remote teacher for grade 6 effective April 26th, 2021, and ending June 25th, 2021. Salary is $115 per day.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Lauren Carter, GLP Principal, and Kelly Morgan LaRosa, Eden Elementary Principal, be appointed as co-administrators for the 2021 Summer Enrichment Program.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the following personnel be appointed for the extended school year of programming and related services effective July 6, 2021 through August 13th, 2021. Dana Fazzolari, speech and language pathologist. Jamie Peterson, speech and language pathologist. Jessica Walschlager, occupational therapist. Darlene Smith, registered professional nurse. Sarah Fiorella, special education teacher. Haley Herc, special education teacher. Gabrielle Rodriguez, special education teacher. Michelle Falkitis, special education teacher. Judy Rizone, teacher aide. Rebecca Lape, teacher aide. Elaine Funk, teacher aide. Thomas Wall, teacher aide. Cheryl Dunmeyer, teacher aide. Kristen Janko, teacher aide. Lori Mohan, teacher aide. Tina Wrigley, substitute teacher. Tracy Kehoe, substitute teacher aide. Alexis Kitchens, substitute teacher aide.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the hours for GLP librarian April Agel be increased from 0.83 FTE to 0.86 FTE effective April 12th, 2021.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, transportation employee hours be adjusted as per the attached sheet.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, books and magazines listed on the attachment be declared accessed and disposed of as the district deems appropriate.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the district code of conduct be approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the results of the 2021 budget and Board of Election vote be accepted as follows. Proposition number 1, annual budget, 328 yes, 195 no. Proposition 1, budget passed. Proposition 2, use of capital reserve funds for the acquisition of school buses and construction and maintenance equipment, 347 yes, 175 no. Proposition number 2, buses, construction and maintenance equipment, passed. Proposition number 3, use of technology reserve funds for the acquisition of technology equipment, yes, 366, 157 no votes. Proposition number 3, technology reserve funds, passed. Board members reelected: Jennifer Horschel, 398 votes, and John P. Jack Cudahy, 397 votes.
Second.
Any discussion?
398 for Jen, is that what you're asking me? And 397 for Mr. Cudahy. I'm sorry, for the budget vote, 328 yes, 195 no. Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
Business report.
Good evening. First, I'd like to start off thanking everyone who participated in the budget process and voted. Your votes helped guide the district. And then I also want to thank everyone who put such hard work and effort into it. Mrs. Tamasulo, the election inspectors from Erie County, the buildings and grounds, maintenance people at the high school, everyone who helped make this a process, including this Board of Education, who sat and listened to all of my presentations. So thank you to everyone who made this process work. Then I'd like to inform the board that I received notification that our property tax cap calculation, which every 5 years, districts across the state are reviewed. This is our turn, they're reviewing our 21-22 tax cap calculation. So I will let you know the results when I find out from them. They already have everything they need, and I'm just waiting to hear back. The capital outlay from the 2019-2020 budget, we will be reviewing and submitting our final cost report by the end of the week. So we should be starting to receive funding for that in the future. And then just an update, the federal ESSER and GEAR funding, there was a 2-application process. The first was to apply, giving a reasonable assurances that we would follow the guidelines, which we did this past week, and our budget, which is due by June 15th of 21. And I'm still waiting for details on how we can actually budget for that. So that's all I have for this evening.
Superintendent's report.
Okay, in preparation for my report this evening, I did ask each of the building principals to share with me some bullet points, and as well as our athletic director, about some of the exciting things that are going on in our district. As schools are starting to reopen, you can imagine that we've been, pun intended, Mrs. Carter, a beehive of activity. I'll be here all night. So anyway, at our high school, they had a very successful blood drive, over 75 donors. Really looking forward at our 7 through 12 students returning on Monday to a 4-day-a-week instructional plan. We've got orchestra concerts on May 26th and 27th. I'm really looking forward to seeing our students perform. Our graduation team is developing 3 different options for graduation, depending on the changes to the local and state requirements. I did have a healthy conversation today with some other superintendents, trying to get some more guidance, more firm guidance from the Erie County Department of Health as it relates to graduation. Senior Field Day will be June 15th. We'll do graduation rehearsal, have some field day events and food trucks and the Powerpuff football game. So thank you for all the folks who were involved with that. I also want to thank Lisa Nicastro and our art students for the outstanding art show that was on display during our annual budget vote. It's always great to see the students' artwork. Middle school has been doing a lot of middle school type things. They had a fund drive, a Savers fund drive, where they collected all kinds of clothing and whatnot for and received $171 for that fundraiser. They had a math science night, and they've got upcoming events and moving up day for our 8th graders, an SPCA dog toy donation event, which sounds pretty interesting, and a summer reading giveaway. Again, our 7th and 8th graders will join our 6th graders in school starting on Monday. 7th and 8th will be 4-day-a-week. Our 6th graders will remain in that 5-day-a-week model. At the elementary building, literally this is what it says: building is busy and buzzing and alive with learning. 150 students have signed up for our after-school readathon, so that should be pretty neat. I know Mr. Bliss and his crew are helping set up for the readathon. The tent is being used outside for lunches and some classes. 5th grade class will have its own moving up ceremony, and each class will have its own mini field day. GLP, similar report, 5 days a week instruction is going well. Now that the weather has broke, classrooms are using the outside facilities to their benefit. They're excited to offer the GLP fun run, pre-K graduation, and kindergarten celebration and field day to our students. And parents have been invited to all the events except for field day. That's going to be a student and teacher only event. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope the superintendent's invited to that as well, but no dunk tanks. I don't want to hear anything about that. Okay. So from our pupil personnel department, this is exciting news for the board. We recently reinstated our ability to submit for claims to Medicaid. So that is something that Mrs. Maxon and Mrs. Feldman have been working on in earnest for quite a while. It's something the district did for a while and then moved away from, but I'm very proud of the work that they put in, because it's a laborious process, but the district will be able to now receive the funds that it's due. So thank you to both of those folks. We heard about the appointments to the extended school year, so that's coming up. That's for our special education students, and it's separate from the other summer programs that we have. All kinds of information about athletics. Fall 2 sports officially ended last Saturday for football, cheerleading, volleyball. Football won their division for the first time since 2012. Cheerleading competed in sectionals and ended up as a runner-up in their class. Boys volleyball won their division and ended up runner-up in the section tournament. Girls volleyball was a Section 6 champ and continued their domination in that sport. Spring sports have started. We have over 230 students participating: lacrosse, tennis, track, basketball, softball, and as of yesterday, wrestling. Very busy couple of weeks coming up. Season ends June 19th and playoffs will follow. So with the changes that we've heard about recently in New York State, we're getting questions about what does it mean for masks. Schools you still have to be masked at school and school events, and that includes outdoor athletics. We are now permitted to allow up to 500 spectators with 6 feet of social distancing at outdoor athletic events. There has been no update yet specific to graduation allowances, as I mentioned earlier. All right, in terms of my report, 3 items of note. The meetings with stakeholder groups have continued as we move through the design phase of the capital project. So we've been meeting with different groups of teachers, and I appreciate both Mr. Bliss and Mrs. Feldman's leadership there as we start to hone in on what some of those spaces are going to look like. Planning for September will begin shortly, and especially as we learn more information from various agencies. I do anticipate our teams will start to focus on full return plans and develop contingencies to address different potential issues as they come up for our students. We've always supported students who need to learn differently. We simply, I think, have found that we have more students that could benefit from that. I don't have an answer or really a comment back yet, but I do know that there are things there's a works in progress, I guess I will put it, as we move forward. So as I've said before, our goal has always been to return students to the classroom. I'm quite proud of the work that's been done to make the return of students a reality, the rest of our students starting on Monday, or most of the rest of our students on Monday, I should say. And we will absolutely plan in earnest to have a full return of students in September, with the caveat that we'll be prepared with options should a full return not be permitted or attainable for reasons out of our control. I do anticipate probably as soon as tomorrow that our local superintendents group will be sending a letter to the governor asking for some feedback from the different agencies no later than June 4th so that we can start planning for September with some knowledge in hand. Okay. So finally, I want to, this is my first of 2 finallys. I want to extend an appreciation to our local Rite Aid pharmacy. Rite Aid contacted me today to offer an on-campus COVID-19 clinic for our students ages 12 and older. The clinic will be scheduled for May 26th from 3 to 5 p.m., with the second dose being scheduled for June 16th from 3 to 5 p.m. So when I wrote this afternoon, I was under the impression this was just for our students. This is for our students, staff, and families, 12 and older. I saw that in an email a few moments before I came into this room. The vaccine clinic will likely be scheduled in the high school gym. Specific information and permission forms will be sent district-wide, most likely tomorrow. It's an emerging opportunity for those families who want their children to be vaccinated. And again, I'll share detailed information as soon as possible. And now this is really my finally. I would be remiss if I didn't share my appreciation to the Eden School community for approving all 3 propositions last evening. There's so much work ahead of us. Having the knowledge and comfort that we have a budget in place cannot be underestimated as to its impact at allowing our district to be forward focused. So thank you to all the folks who voted, and congratulations to both Jack and Jen for your reappointments to the board. I look forward to working with the 2 of you and as well as the rest of the board in the years to come. Thanks so much.
So board report roundtable.
I got the student report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Student report.
So
I just-
our 3 student representatives are working tonight, keeping the employment out there for everybody that knows there's an employment shortage right now, or lack of employees. So the 3 of them are working, but Caleb sent me some information today. He says overall the students are really excited to come back on Monday for the seniors, they've been going to school, 12 plus years with all these kids, and, at least be able to get together for, maybe 3 weeks or so. They're really excited about that. They've got the senior day scheduled with a powder puff game on June 15th, and they're really excited about that. The senior prom is slated for June 6th or June 12th, and then the junior prom is June 19th. And they're just looking forward to spending the last 3 weeks what they can, and they're really hoping for an in-person graduation with more than 2 family members. So, and Caleb and they know that we're waiting on guidance as well too. So we're hoping we can get back to normal. So we'll see where we're at come June 24th, either at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. We don't know yet. So being developed. That's it for the student report.
Yeah, that's good news. Okay. Board report roundtable.
I don't have anything.
The next regular Board of Education meeting is Wednesday, June 16th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the Eden Elementary School auditorium. So now moving down to enter executive session. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education enter executive session to discuss the history of a particular person or persons.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. All right. Thanks for coming, everybody.